We're supporting that.
Okay.
Good evening. No, that's fine, right here, right here. Just making me feel shorter. Okay. I'm so short. Thank you to all these people who told these fantastic stories. I'm embarrassed to stand up here and tell the story now. So this story takes place about 80 years ago when I was 12 years old. And, the block I lived in Inglewood, on the south side of Chicago. And just about everybody in the neighborhood was black. And there were two houses on my block that didn't have black people in it. One was across the street. There were these four brothers who were cops, and so their lawn was never messed up or anything like that. And down the street, there was this white woman. We called her the white lady because we were kids. There was this white woman who lived in a two-flat house, and under her house there was like a porch. You know, the porch you can go under the house. You know, and there was a big hump of dirt there. There was a mound of dirt there, and that was where she had buried her husband after she killed him. Well, we knew that because what else could it be? Her husband. I mean, a mound of dirt? Come on. And eventually, we would cross the street to go because we didn't want to end up under the house with the husband of the white lady. And eventually she left, and it was just one day she wasn't there. And then one day there were people moving in. And my mother made me go down the street and help the people, like, get the stuff in the house, because she's from Mississippi. And after I helped them all out, stuff like that, my mother was standing there, and the woman came out. She said, "Miss Williams, thank you for helping me with the stuff," as if she had done it and I hadn't. And she was standing there with a girl. My mother said, no problem, no problem. And the girl was, you hear the expression, love at first sight, but I'm just saying, I was 12, I knew what I was doing. My mother walked me down the street, and she was like, Miss Wright is no problem at all. And Miss Wright said, this is my daughter, Regina, and this is Miss Williams' son, DeWitt, right? And Regina said, oh, and she's like, RWDW. She said, if we got married, I could keep my initials, right? And then I said, if we got married, and I touched her on the left ring finger, and I said, when we get married. And now, it's been 45 years, and to this day, I wish I had really said that. I wish that had come to me. Because what I really said was, I said, how heck did that? See, Clippers, nothing. I had nothing. It was bad. So I became obsessed with it. It was ridiculous. I knew nothing, and I was ridiculously bad about it. But and I traveled, I tracked her down and stuff like that. And I'd be like this. You gotta come in the house. I'd be like, oh, I'm out of the house too. What about that? She stepped out, I stepped out. And that summer, when the kids everybody hung out outside. I had what was called, black people know that I had good hair. I had pretty hair. And Regina liked my hair. She would braid my hair because, I let her braid my hair. She liked to do it. It was fun. And we would sit on their front porch, and I would sit in front of her one step below, and she would behind me braiding my hair. And I think I finally got the nerve. I was like, this is the day I'm gonna make the big move. I'm gonna initiate. And so I threw it all out the window. I leaned back, and I put my elbows on her knees, and I think I got her pregnant that day. I was pretty impressed by myself that day. She didn't realize how stricken she was by that move. She didn't know how, what a strong move that was. So I never heard her loss. And I used to go down and talk to her. I would always help Miss Wright around the house, clean stuff up and stuff. And Miss Wright let me borrow a record that she had. A record, that's a round thing that plays music. And it was a 45 of Don McLean's American Pie. And Miss Wright said, Regina and my other daughter, Tony, really like this record. So I was like, okay, this is my summer assignment. I'm gonna learn this record, totally and completely. And one day, I'm gonna impress Regina with it. And I listened to it, 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 and I listened to it. And it was months later, it was freezing cold outside, and we were at their house. and we were watching Snoopy Come Home, the Charlie Brown Snoopy Come Home, and we were sitting in the room watching it, and Miss Wright, the three of us in the room, door closed, because Miss Wright was not worried about me in the least making any kind of move with her daughters. And we sat there and watched Snoopy Come Home, and Charlie Brown was going through the trauma, and Snoopy wasn't your dog, and Lila and the puppy ran. I remember all this stuff, bitterly. And the thing is over with, and I was really, like, I was almost moved by it, because it was so good and happy ending. And she was like, well, you don't have to go home yet. She was like, you know what, Tony was like, what do you want to do now? And Regina said, let's sing American Pie. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. I just missed the microphone, I'm gonna keep talking. So, I don't know where it is. Help me out. So, we started singing American Pie, right? There it is. Long time ago, you know, blah, 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 right? And I was just killing it, because I listened to this song over and over again at my mother's house on the record player, right? I didn't know at the time that the song was so long that it went on two sides. This is God fruit. This is what happened. So we sing and we sing and we sing, and I'll tell you now. I'll tell you where it ends on the 45A side A. It ends at helter skelter. And that's I thought that was the end of the song. And I was like, helter skelter. Okay, I'm going home now. The birds flew out of the fallout shelter. And they kept singing. And I was like, there's more? And it was a lot more. Well, Denim Rest and the Green and the park and all this stuff. And I was like, I'm making words up. And the penguins at the zoo. And damn you, Don McLean. Damn you to hell. And that song just went on and on and on. And it finally, and I was like, you know, I met a girl who sang blues. I was like, it's finally coming in for a landing. I was like, I don't know the rest of it. I don't like that part. You know, whatever. And so the song ended 2.5 hours later, and Tony went downstairs and wasn't making her do something, and Regina kissed me when Tony left the room, and I had no idea she was going to kiss me. I had no idea she was going to kiss me. She started walking toward me, and I was like, is she going to kiss me? And she like, on the lips kiss, 12, on the lips kiss me. And I was like, now I know she's pregnant. And so she kissed me, and I thought I was gonna love it first. Now I was like heroin with like crack in it, you know what I mean? Drinking it and like vodka. I was hooked on Regina. And 3 or 4 days later, she told me, you know, in a room full of people, DeWitt, it's quits. And I was like, we were together? You didn't give me a running start, you know. So she's like, you know, it's quits. And I was like, okay. I was like, you know, she's gonna break up with me. I'm gonna end this on some clever thing, not like I did with the wedding ring debacle. When she's like, it's quits, I said, okay, if it's gonna be quits, I can accept that. But you know what? I get Snoopy. Right? Like when the settlement of the thing. She was like, you were so funny, and she kissed me again. And I was like, no, you're not kissing me this time. I wouldn't take you back now if you begged me. But yeah, I did. I let her kiss me like and now she's living in Arizona. She's married, she has like 11 kids. And I'm not at all bitter, but I'm never gonna listen to that damn song again. Thank you.